The Food and Drug Administration issued a mandatory recall on Tuesday after several herbal supplements containing kratom tested positive for salmonella. The FDA claims it was forced to issue its first ever formal food recall because the company Triangle Pharma Naturals refused to cooperate by voluntarily recalling its kratom products. The agency says more than 24 items containing kratom, that's a substance used to treat pain, anxiety, and drug dependence, tested positive for salmonella. The recall is linked to a nationwide outbreak. There have been 90 reported infections in 35 states. Anna Werner is following this story.
When I first started reading about it, it sounded like snake oil to me.
Andrew Turner is a military veteran who turned to kratom 3 years ago to help with pain from service injuries and PTSD.
Pharmaceutical solutions were not working in my situation, and I was steadily deteriorating.
Turner uses kratom powder to make tea. He buys it online from a company he says follows the strictest manufacturing and testing standards and shares those test results with customers. Since early March, 3 companies that sell kratom products have issued voluntary recalls at the FDA's request due to salmonella contamination. But on Tuesday, the agency issued its first mandatory recall order for all of Triangle Pharma Naturals LLC's food products containing kratom. FDA Commissioner Scott Gottlieb said in a statement, this action is based on the imminent health risk posed by the contamination of this product with salmonella and the refusal of this company to voluntarily act.
We commend the FDA for taking swift action to protect the public.
Chuck Bell is the programs director for Consumers Union, the policy division of Consumer Reports. He says dietary supplements like kratom run the risk of containing contaminated ingredients.
The issue is that they're not subject to pre-market safety testing. So unlike prescription drugs, they've not been shown to be either safe or effective.
But Turner says he worries tougher regulations on kratom may cut off access.
People should be able to make a decision for themselves and weigh the risks versus the benefits, look at the research that's available out there.
And Anna Werner joins us now to talk about this. So what's really interesting about your reporting, Anna, is this is the first ever mandatory recall. Why is the FDA doing this?
Well, because they reached out to other companies that made kratom products, and those companies issued voluntary recalls. The FDA says that this company did not and would not respond to their requests, and therefore they said, okay, it's going to be a mandatory recall because we feel the health risks are such that you have to get this off the market. And by the way, we tried to reach Triangle Pharma Naturals LLC, which is the company in this case. It appears that their website may be down, but we tried every way we could to reach them, and we're totally unable to reach them to get any response.
So given the proliferation of these health supplements in this country, I'd never heard of kratom, or if I had, it was sort of on the fringes of like the things that I read about. What is it? What does it do? What are its supposed health benefits?
So it's something that's natural, right? I mean, quote unquote, that
natural is a very loose term.
Right, but the question is sort of what are the manufacturing processes for this? So this is a supplement that many people who use it swear by. You know, the veteran that we spoke to said, look, I have a very specific way that I brew it and use it to try to protect myself against any contamination, but I swear by it because he said before that he was basically like, you know, lying on the couch kind of thing, unable to do much, and he believes it works for him. And there's a very vocal group of kratom supporters. For example, on social media, when we do a story about kratom, there's a lot of response on social media from people saying, you know, we don't believe that, we think the FDA is being unfair against kratom, and, you know, why would anybody want to take this away from us, and this is wrong. So there's a vocal group of people who believe that it really works for them. And, you know, what Consumers Union will tell you is that this is a substance that can have effects on you in the way that many natural, you know, substances can, but do you know whether that's going to interact with your medications? Have you talked to your doctor about it if you're taking any other prescriptions? And do you know what is in that particular brand that you are buying? Do you know what their manufacturing processes is? And in this case, of course, the question is, could you get salmonella from this, which is can be a very serious illness, especially for vulnerable populations?
It's just interesting to me because, for example, a couple of years ago, my doctor prescribed vitamin D, and it was a prescription, and I I just said, well, why don't I just go and buy it over the counter? And he's like, no, let me give you the prescription, because it almost feels as, even when it comes to vitamins, that there are certain things that the manufacturers have to take into account, including the products that they use to manufacture these pills and these supplements, that things that are regulated by the FDA, like prescription medication, don't have to, or are more concerned with.
Well, so prescriptions go through a whole process, you know, clinical trials. They have to prove that their product does something, you know, a pharmaceutical product. Supplements don't go through that pathway. They do not have to prove what they do or what they're actually doing for you. So the only time the FDA can only really get involved when something goes wrong with that supplement. By that time, you might be the victim of the problem. For example, in this case, kratom, you would have, there's not like it's going to say on the bottle, by the way, you might, you know, get salmonella from this. So I think it's something that you really have to be aware of. One of the things that we learned, we went to a company called NSF a while back for a story on water testing, and we were doing a story on radium in water, which is an issue around the country, completely unrelated to this, of course. But one of the things that they said is, look, we actually test these supplements. You can look for our logo on a bottle of vitamins. So the next time I went to the drugstore and I was looking for like a vitamin D or whatever, I actually looked at the bottle and noticed that some of the companies have that symbol, some don't. So I bought the bottle that had their testing logo on it because it seemed like, all right, they've actually tested this. And I know that there's that vitamin to a certain level in that product. That's another issue, is sometimes they don't have the levels or they have too much in a supplement.
Yeah. Triangle Pharmaceuticals seems to have deleted their website completely. I know you reached out for comment. Have they responded?
We've not gotten any response for comment. It does appear that their website is down. And so, you know, obviously we welcome any comments from them, any response from them, but we just have not been able to reach anyone.
All right, important reporting. Anna Werner, thank you very much.
Thanks, Bud.